my audience members. Imagine being locked up with no human contact, no outside light source, and no sound except for your own heartbeat. Now imagine being stuck like this for weeks or even months. Prisons and jails need to be abolished because of the psychological harm that they inflict, as well as racial and social control, and how they profit from punishment instead of safety. This is an issue that affects everyone. Even if none of us end up stepping foot into a prison, our values should reflect the type of society that we live in. I have done a lot of research from past and recent reports, some of those including famous philosophers. Their analysis on the topic helped shape my understanding of mass incarceration. I'll explain the 3 reasons why prisons should be abolished. First, because of prisons promoting psychological harm. Second, how they have racial and social control. And third, how they profit economically from punishment instead of public well-being. So back to the first point. Prisons inflict psychological and physical harm, especially through solitary confinement. It destroys a person's self-worth and rational being. Lisa Gunther argues in Solitary Confinement that it is a means to social death. Research reportedly shows that isolation can cause several mental illnesses, some that contain permanent neurological damage. Jessica Sandoval argues on her blog how solitary confinement contributes to mental health crisis, published March 17, 2023, that the effects of solitary confinement has on mental illness is fatal. Suicide, homicide, and overdosing are all more frequent in inmates after being released from solitary confinement. This kind of practice holds major effects on inmates psychologically. Solitary confinement is torture, and because of that, abolition is a moral necessity to stop this harm. Another reason for the abolition in prisons is prison systems function as a system of social control, not about safety. They have a history of historical power and racial oppression. Prisons were never designed for rehabilitation in the first place. Their primary cause was for discipline. Michael Foucault argues in Discipline and Punish that prison systems create controlled populations through surveillance. An article by Ashley Anderson's Prison Abolition is Needed Now, Prisons and Jails Do Not Keep Anyone Safe, talks about racism inside prisons. The article, which was published January 23, 2023, shows how prison systems target Black and brown people by the unsafe and unhealthy conditions. Incarceration does not reduce crime, but instead increases racial disparities. Prisons reproduce inequality and social control. They cannot be reformed into justice systems. Therefore, they need to be abolished. To reform prison systems, we have to make them the opposite of what they were intended to do, which is not possible. Which moves us on to our next point. Prison systems are driven by economic and political incentives that reward expansion, not public safety. Prisons are profitable to governments. Angela Davis explains in Are Prisons Obsolete that modern sources show that states rely on incarceration for federal funding. Politics also profit from prison systems through tough-on-crime laws, and that is how they get their votes. These show evidence for how prison systems are used to promote economic control. Prison systems are tied to political profit over public well-being. Abolition is the resource needed to take away punishment and bring back real public safety. To wrap up my thoughts, let's bring this back to the beginning. We looked at the reasons for why prison systems should be abolished. They cause psychological harm, they promote racial and social control, and they profit from punishment. Altogether, these facts show how there are problems within the prison system. Whether they are accidental or purposeful, they are the foundation to what prison systems are. It works exactly as it was designed to do, and therefore, reformation is not a solution, only abolition. Now, if anyone has any questions, Amaya.
Okay, so what would you do with these criminals instead?
So, according to what I researched, other forms, like instead of reformation, they think of abolition as abolishing forms of prison systems. So instead of locking people up in solitary confinement, they would something with education and I don't know. That's a really great question that I researched, and I just don't remember the answer right now. But I'll look back at it and get back to you.
Okay.
Sophie.
Have you ever been to prison?
No, I have not been to prison. Chloe.
If you were in solitary confinement, what is one item that you would bring with you?
I did not do any research on if you can bring any items into solitary confinement.
But if you could.
That question does not really have much to do with the speech I gave. Amaya.
Okay, so how would you make it to be fair? Because some people could argue that it's not fair to people who have already served. So how would you deal with that?
That is a very great question again. And I think people who have already served would be grateful that they wouldn't have to serve any longer. But the prison system itself is already not fair. So
Okay.
I don't know if that really answers your question though. Chloe.
So, would another option be like making them do more work?
Like, what do you mean?
Like picking up more shifts to like work, like pick up trash, make them do more community services?
Yes, that was one of the solutions that I think it was Angela Davis talked about. It was something about
And also how
teaching kids. Sorry, yes.
Oh, and also how do you, would you like that suggestion more than the solitary confinement?
Yeah, that would be a better solution to prisons. I think it had something to do with education and teaching kids better, and it also had something to do with the solutions being not prison-like. So instead of having solutions like house arrest, because you're still, not able to leave anywhere, they would have other solutions like better health care for people or better education for people to teach them not to do the kinds of things that lead them to get into prisons. And instead of putting our taxes and stuff into prison systems, we would put them into, better health care and education systems like that. But yes, that would be one of the ways Angela Davis talked about. Is that all? These are my 3 audience members.